80% of engines that die early weren't killed by bad oil. They were killed in the 60 seconds after the oil change. Quick lube shops know this. They won't tell you. Your engine is vulnerable right now. Dry metal contact, air pockets, forgotten torque. One mistake destroys more than 10,000 miles of driving. Here are 10 things you must do after every oil change. I've seen engines hit 300,000 miles with these steps and die at 60,000 without them. Number 10, 9 out of 10 drivers miss it. Number 1, your mechanic will never mention it. Cost them thousands. Let's get started. 10, inspect the drain plug and washer. Most people finish draining oil, screw the plug back in, and call it a day. Wrong move. That tiny washer on the plug, usually aluminum or copper, is designed to deform once. Reusing it means it won't seal again. I've seen engines lose a quart every 1,000 miles because of a 50-cent washer someone thought looked fine. Always inspect the drain plug threads for metal shavings or sludge. That tells you if something's wearing out inside. Then replace the washer every single time. If the plug looks worn or stripped, replace it too. Over-tightening can crack the oil pan threads, and that's not a cheap fix. We're talking about a $400 repair for something that takes 2 minutes to prevent. And after tightening, always wipe the area clean and start the car. Let it idle for 30 seconds, then crawl underneath with a flashlight and check for fresh drips. If you spot one, shut it down immediately and retighten. Never assume it'll stop on its own. I can already hear some of you, but I've been reusing the same washer for years and it's fine. Yeah, until it's not. And when it's not, you'll be calling a tow truck with a puddle under your car. Stop gambling with 50 cents. A few drops today can become a full-blown leak tomorrow. Think of this step as your post-surgery check. It's the first test your engine takes after an oil change. But the plug isn't your only weak spot. The next one hides in plain sight, and it can burst faster than you can blink. 9. Check the filter seal and prime it. Every oil filter has a rubber gasket, and this little ring is responsible for keeping the entire oil system sealed under pressure. The mistake? Most people screw on the new filter dry. That gasket sticks, twists, and sometimes tears, leading to oil blowouts during startup. Here's the right move. Before installing, dip your finger into the new oil and lightly coat the rubber gasket. This creates a smooth seal and prevents sticking. Then, before spinning it on, double check that the old gasket came off with the old filter. I can't count how many times I've seen double gasket blowouts. It takes less than 10 seconds to check, and it could save you a new engine. Once it's on, hand tighten. No wrench. If you crush the gasket with a wrench, you're begging for a leak. Hand snug. Half turn more. Done. I once had a customer roll in panicking after an oil change he did himself. "It's smoking under the hood," he yelled, jumping out. "Did I blow the engine?" I could smell it before I even opened the hood. Burnt oil, thick and acrid. "When did you do the oil change?" 20 minutes ago. I followed every step. He was nearly in tears. Popped the hood. Oil everywhere. Spraying across the hot manifold. "Did you check if the old gasket came off?" Long silence. "There's 2 gaskets. Cost him a tow, cleanup, and his pride. Lucky it wasn't a seized engine." So always confirm your seal, prime it, and give it that thin coat of oil. It's a small ritual that separates careful mechanics from careless ones. Hey, if this kind of no-nonsense advice is saving you from $1,000 mistakes, hit that subscribe button now. I've got more real-world tips coming up that'll save your engine and your wallet. Because even if your seals are perfect, the real damage can start the moment you hit the ignition. Here's why timing matters more than most people think. 8. The 30-second rule. When you start your car after an oil change, resist the urge to rev it. I know you want to circulate the oil, but that's the worst thing you can do. At startup, your oil pump is still pulling air and filling every passage. Revving sends metal parts spinning before that oil even gets there. Instead, let the engine idle for 30 seconds. That half minute allows oil to reach the bearings, cams, and lifters. Watch your oil pressure light. It should go off quickly. During that short time, walk around the car, listen for knocks or odd ticks, and look underneath again for leaks. After idling, shut it down and check the dipstick. Oil filters usually hold about half a quart. Once it fills, your level will drop slightly. Top up if needed. That's what most quick lube shops skip, and it's why engines come back low after fresh oil. You'd be surprised how many failures start from skipping this 30-second pause. A dry start can cause microscopic scoring on bearings. Invisible now, catastrophic later. It's slow death. How many of you rev the engine right after startup just to hear it run? Be honest, that habit is slowly destroying your bearings, and you don't even know it yet. A Toyota Camry came into my shop once with a deep knock, just 80,000 miles. Perfect maintenance record. Turns out every oil change was followed by a hard rev to check the sound. That habit destroyed the crank bearings. $2,200 later, he learned what 30 seconds of patience could have prevented. Because even if you do all this right, one tiny valve under your hood might still be ruining your oil from the inside, and most drivers have never even heard of it. 7. Inspect the PCV system. Here's the part almost nobody checks, yet it decides how long your oil stays clean. The positive crankcase ventilation, PCV, valve is that small forgotten piece that controls pressure inside your engine. When it clogs, your oil gets contaminated with fuel vapor, moisture, and acid. Over time, it turns into black sludge, even if you're changing oil on time. Take the hose off and give the valve a shake. If it rattles, you're good. If it's silent or sticky, replace it. It costs $10, and you can do it yourself in 5 minutes. But if you ignore it, you'll be dealing with leaking gaskets, failed seals, and thick sludge that eats bearings alive. I once opened up a Honda Accord engine that looked like someone poured chocolate pudding inside. Every oil passage was choked. The owner swore she'd done every oil change on schedule, and she had. But the PCV valve hadn't been touched in 10 years. That $10 part caused a $900 cleanup. The PCV system is like your engine's lungs. If it can't breathe, everything suffocates. Replace it with your air filter every other oil change, and you'll never have that sludge horror. Drop a comment. How many of you have ever even touched your PCV valve? Let's see who's been ignoring their engine's lungs for years. Even clean oil can't help if your engine keeps cooking it alive. The next tip deals with heat, and why you need to catch this one before smoke starts rolling from under your hood. 6. Check for leaks around the valve cover. Oil leaks are sneaky. You won't always see them on the ground. Sometimes they drip onto hot parts, burning away before you ever notice. After every oil change, take a flashlight and run your fingers along the valve cover edges and timing cover. If it feels slick, that's a leak beginning. Oil that seeps out doesn't just make a mess. It burns on hot manifolds, creates smoke, and destroys nearby wires and sensors. One drop today is tomorrow's misfire. You can usually stop it with a small bead of RTV sealant or a cheap gasket kit. Wait too long, and you'll be replacing brittle seals, melted coil packs, and oxygen sensors. That's an $800 mistake that starts as a 5-minute inspection. A customer came in complaining about burning oil smell. I popped the hood, tiny smoke wisp from the valve cover. He said the smell started right after his last oil change. The shop had spilled a little oil near the cover, never cleaned it, and that heat baked the rubber gasket to death. A $30 gasket turned into a $700 repair. Always clean spills around the cover after every oil change. If you can smell burnt oil when you stop at traffic lights, it's already too late. And if you think external leaks are bad, bad? Wait until you find out what's happening inside your oil, something your dashboard can't warn you about. 5. Reset the oil life monitor and keep real records. Most people just hit reset and move on. That's not maintenance, that's autopilot. Oil life monitors estimate based on driving style, not actual condition. They can be wildly off. The smarter move, write down your mileage and date after every change, glove box, phone note, whatever works. Why? Because consistency reveals truth. If your oil darkens faster than usual or levels drop sooner, you'll catch problems like fuel dilution or gasket leaks before they explode. It's also proof of care. When you sell the car, showing your oil change log can add real value because buyers trust data. I had a customer whose dashboard kept flashing oil change soon every 1,000 miles. He thought the car was haunted. We checked the history. Turned out he'd never reset the monitor properly, so the ECU assumed old oil. He was changing oil twice as often for no reason. Data matters. Also, take a quick photo of your dipstick after a few hundred miles. If it darkens faster than normal, you might have carbon buildup or fuel blowby. That's your early warning. But even with clean oil and perfect records, there's a hidden problem most drivers never consider: the oil itself. Because if it's not matched to how you drive, it's working against you. 4. Choose the right oil for the way you drive. Here's the thing most people never get right. They treat oil like a one-size-fits-all product. It says 5W30 in the manual, so that's what I use. But oil choice isn't that simple. That label on the bottle only tells part of the story. The real question is how, where, and how long you drive. If you mostly take short city trips, your oil barely warms up before the next shutdown. That means condensation, fuel dilution, and sludge, problems that a heavier oil can't handle. You need something with better flow at low temps, like a high-detergent synthetic blend, to clean and protect during those cold starts. If you're towing, running long highway hauls, or driving through brutal heat, go full synthetic. It's built to resist thermal breakdown, the chemical cooking that ruins conventional oil during extended heat cycles. That's why long-distance engines often look spotless inside even after 150,000 miles. The oil never burned out. I had a Ram 1500 owner who'd been using Bargain 10W30 because it was cheaper. The truck hauled a trailer almost every day. After 3 summers, his oil pressure dropped to nothing at idle. Pulled the pan, sludge everywhere. He switched to high moly synthetic and the difference was instant. Pressure stabilized, noise dropped, and the truck ran cooler. That $40 upgrade saved him a $3,000 rebuild. Don't just rely on the shop's recommended oil. They often use whatever's bulk pumped from a drum. Bring your own bottle if you care about your engine. Look, I get it. But the shop knows what they're doing, do they? Most Quick Lubes hire 19-year-olds who learned to change oil last Tuesday. They're not matching oil to your driving style. They're filling whatever's cheapest in their bulk tank. I do it for my own cars because the brand matters less than the formulation. Look for specs that match your use, high mileage, severe duty, or turbo approved. If these post-oil change secrets are saving you from expensive mistakes, hit that subscribe button now, because what's coming next about carbon buildup could prevent a $3,800 engine teardown. Even perfect oil can't help if your engine's already choking on years of old carbon. That's the invisible killer hiding behind good maintenance, and it's the reason some engines die clean. 3. Flush out carbon before it hardens. Every oil change should include one extra step most people skip: a gentle engine flush or top-end cleaner before you drain the old oil. Think of it as cleaning the arteries before pumping in new blood. Over time, microscopic soot and carbon collect around piston rings, valve lifters, and narrow oil passages. Once that buildup hardens, it becomes rock solid, trapping heat and blocking lubrication. No new oil, no matter how expensive, can cut through that layer. It's like trying to moisturize over dry paint. The surface looks shiny, but underneath, everything stays brittle. Here's how to do it right. Add a mild detergent-based cleaner or light solvent to your old oil about 10 minutes before draining. Let the engine idle. Don't rev, don't drive, just let the cleaner circulate. This step softens sludge and carbon deposits, so they flow out with the waste oil. When you drain it, you'll notice the oil looks darker and thinner than usual. That's a good thing. It means the flush is doing its job, pulling out the grime that's been quietly baking inside your block for years. I once tore down a 1.8-liter Toyota engine that had never been flushed in its life. From the outside, it looked fine, quiet, smooth, idle, no check engine light. But when we pulled the head, every piston ring groove was packed solid with carbon. It was literally glued in place. The owner couldn't understand why oil consumption shot up or why compression dropped in 2 cylinders. That buildup acted like concrete, keeping the rings from sealing properly. The repair bill? $3,800. Now compare that to another customer with the same car and mileage who ran a gentle flush every 3rd oil change. When I opened his engine at 200,000 miles, it looked factory new, pistons shiny, lifters spotless. Same design, same driving style. The only difference was that 10-minute habit. Flushing doesn't mean dumping random chemicals into your crankcase. It's controlled cleaning. Use a quality flush product, follow the directions, and never exceed 10 minutes at idle. Once done, drain immediately and replace the filter. Never drive with the flush still inside. That's how amateurs ruin bearings. The cleaner thins the oil too much for real driving pressure. If you're cautious about additives, there's a middle ground. Run a can of top engine cleaner through the intake once a year. It targets carbon on valves and combustion chambers, areas oil never touches. Combine that with regular oil changes, and you'll practically eliminate cold start ticking, rough idles, and sluggish throttle response. Carbon is sneaky. It begins as soft varnish, then slowly hardens into a ceramic-like crust that traps heat and robs horsepower. By the time you hear lifter noise or lose compression, it's too late. The damage is already done. Prevent it. Don't chase it. 10 quiet minutes before every drain can mean the difference between a smooth-running engine and a mechanical autopsy. And even if your engine is spotless inside, a single mistake during refill can undo everything. It's the kind of error that happens in seconds and costs thousands to fix. Most drivers don't even realize they're doing it. 2. Check the level twice, not once. When the engine's warm and the new oil is in, most people do what feels natural. Pull the dipstick, see the full mark, and walk away proud. But here's the truth most folks never learn: that reading lies. Oil doesn't instantly fill every channel. It needs time to flow through the filter, the galleys, the cooler lines, and the upper head before it stabilizes. The oil level you see right after a refill is temporary. It's still redistributing. The proper method is simple but critical. Fill to the mark. Start the engine and let it idle for about 30 seconds. This pushes oil into the filter and pump passages. Then shut it off, wait at least 5 minutes, and check again. That's your true level. 9 out of 10 people skip that second step, and that's where the damage begins. The difference between a rushed check and a settled one can be half a quart or more. That doesn't sound like much, but inside the engine, it's everything. Too little oil and the bearings starve. Metal starts kissing metal with zero cushion. Too much oil and the crank whips it into a froth, creating bubbles that collapse collapse under pressure. Air doesn't lubricate, and that's when the death rattle starts. Either way, your bearings lose their lifeline. A few years ago, I rebuilt an engine for a guy who swore he always checked his oil. He'd fill it, check once, drive home, then check again the next morning. But every time he saw the level a little low after sitting overnight, he'd top it off. Overfilled every single time. His engine had been running 1.5 quarts too high for years, and he thought he was being careful. The crankshaft kept churning air into the oil until the bearings lost pressure and scored themselves to death. One day, a connecting rod punched straight through the block. When he called me from the side of the road, I could already hear the hollow clunk in his voice. The rebuild cost $7,500, all because he never learned to check twice. The truth is, engines don't die from neglect alone. They die from overconfidence, from people who think close enough is fine. But precision is what separates a quick lube tech from a real mechanic. Grab a small file or razor and cut a shallow notch on your dipstick where the oil level sits after it's properly settled. That's your personal, true full mark. It'll save you confusion every single time. And remember, oil expands slightly when hot, so check when the engine's warm, but not immediately after shutdown. Let the oil drain back for a few minutes before reading. Think of it this way: the first check feeds your pride. The second check feeds your engine. 1 stroke saves face. 2 strokes save metal. Who here checks their dipstick only once and drives away? I'm betting 90% of you. And that's exactly why bearings fail without warning. But even if you've done everything perfectly, right oil, perfect level, spotless filter, your oil change still isn't complete. There's one last ritual, one final step that decides whether your engine coasts past 200,000 miles or becomes a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. 1. Take it for a gentle 10-minute drive. Every oil change should end with a drive, not a rev, not a test sprint, but a slow, calm 10-minute run. Here's why. When you start the engine, your oil is cold and thick. It needs movement and temperature to flow everywhere, through the pump, around the bearings, and deep into the lifters. That gentle drive does 3 things: circulates new oil into every passage, picks up leftover debris the old oil left behind, evens out temperatures so seals can expand and seat properly. After the drive, let it cool, then check again for leaks or drops in level. You're giving the system time to balance, to breathe. I once had 2 identical engines, side by side, same car, same mileage, both maintained perfectly. The difference? One owner always took a short post-change drive, the other didn't. After 200,000 miles, we tore them down. The one that drove it in had pistons that looked new. The idle and park car had caked carbon and dry scoring around the camshaft. Same oil, same care, just one habit changed everything. That's why this step matters most. Oil doesn't protect until it moves. So next time you change your oil, don't rush. Give it 10 peaceful minutes. Listen to your engine. Feel how smooth it sounds. That's the sound of metal thanking you. If you learned even one new thing today, hit that like button. Drop a comment with your biggest oil change mistake or secret habit. And if you want to know which oil filters are actually worth buying, click the video on the left. Don't forget to subscribe for real-world car advice that keeps engines running past 300,000 miles.